possible thing that could happen at this coming training camp that'd be better than having a surprise player would be a really young surprise player. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. His name is Vasily Ponomarev. He is, just like you would guess, Russian. He's 5'10", 180, left shot, plays mostly center, a two-way guy. Some playmaking, a lot of defense, all over the puck, persistent, really good motor, which, by the way, is a trait that Mike Sullivan values in anyone, regardless of age. And he did poke his head into the NHL last season with the Hurricanes. If you don't know where Ponomarev came from or you aren't familiar with the name, he was not just part of the Jake Guentzel trade, but in all likelihood, the main component to the Guentzel trade. Yes, even more so than Michael Bunting. Why? Well, everything I just mentioned. And also, he's 22 years old. Now, it's hardly impossible to make it to the NHL at age 22. It happens. But it's quite the thing when you can break into a lineup that some people I know felt last season was either the deepest or certainly among the deepest in the Eastern Conference in Raleigh. In 45 AHL games, Ponomarev had 9 goals and 21 assists. Not bad. In 2 NHL games, he scored his first NHL goal and assisted on another for the Hurricanes. So, which, if nothing else, would suggest to you that he wasn't floored by his new environment. Good stuff. All of it's good stuff. You know what would be better? Yeah, that. I mean, look, I'm not going to get into trying to slot him into the lineup because it sounds to me like he would be a bottom 6 type, and he would be best suited for center. He's played a little bit on the wing, but he's principally a center. And with this team just having added Kevin Hayes to a depth chart that already had Lars Eller, and this kid sounds like he's either an Eller or a Teddy Bluger type where you can do a little bit of both, help your team in a bunch of different ways. I'm not sure where exactly he'd fit. I'm also not sure that he wouldn't benefit from a little bit more time in the American League. But, and this is the beauty of having younger players who can actually play at any level of your system, anyone can surprise. Now, he's been hurt, so he wasn't able to be part of the whole development camp thing or whatever, but he's going to be in training camp. And as such, he's going to have opportunity. And with that opportunity comes, at least the chance that you can kind of John Marino your way onto the team. And those of you who followed the Penguins for a while will know exactly what I'm referencing because Marino showed up as an excellent Jim Rutherford acquisition from the Oilers, who were just about to lose him, and Penguins gave up a late-round pick. He shows up here, and just within the first 3 or 4 sessions, you absolutely knew he was going to be on the team. And not as some taxi guy either. He was going to play, maybe top 4. You just don't know when something like that's going to happen. But the more, in terms of quantity, that you have of quality, the more you multiply those chances. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. And look, like I said, I'm not going to take this too far. I'm not going to stretch it into something that I don't know that it is. But I got to tell you, there's a big part of me that's looking forward to a camp where you don't have to look at the same Sam Poulin, Nathan Legare guys year after year after year. And then in terms of reporting on the team or sharing opinions with you, have to have these prolonged discussions about how Sullivan hates young guys. Sullivan doesn't hate young guys. Sullivan, I'm sure, just hates young guys who can't play, which is all the Penguins have had for the most part for quite some time now. This is what's needed. This little fictitious Ponomarev scenario that I'm putting forth here, this is what's needed. If you want to contend while Sidney Crosby is here, if you want to make the most of having Sid and Gino and Chris Letang and Erik Karlsson and Brian Rust and other guys, this is that age group. The group that's going to be a little bit closer to helping you than, let's say, Braden Yeager. This is what has to happen. And at the risk of continually repeating myself as it relates to last summer, this is what needed to happen last summer, rather than going out and overpaying for a bunch of 30-year-old nobodies. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q is really just a silly rant from my man Cody, who writes out, and I quote directly, DK, Blake Lizotte is such a great player and really deserves his own episode. Also, DK proceeds to make an episode for nearly everyone under the sun before making one for Lizotte. Guilty as charged, my dude. Lizotte is my favorite offseason acquisition this year, says Cody. I think he has the energy and the ability to change the complexion of the bottom six, which in turn can change the complexion of the entire team. Really excited to see him darting around and pulling guys into the game. Also really excited for the Lizotte episode. Hey, listen, dude, we will do this, all right? I promise you. I might wait even until he gets to training camp when I have a chance to talk to him to make it a full-scale, high-octane episode of Daily Shot of Penguins. Lizotte is someone who, when you look at his game, and I've looked at his video, his time with the Kings, he kind of reminds you of a Jason Zucker. He's got some skill. He's got some speed. He does cover the ice, as you suggest. And he has capability, and he showed this in Los Angeles, of sliding up and down the depth chart, meaning the whole Brian Rust / Swiss Army knife approach. If you really need him, the first or second lines, he can pull it off and not embarrass you. But see, this too is going to bring me back to the Ponomarev conversation, because it's not just Ponomarev's youth that makes him a potentially attractive fit for what the Penguins need. It's also his style. I mentioned the motor. I mentioned the persistence. I mentioned being all over pucks. Now, I say this to you, and you, as someone who pressed play on a podcast called Daily Shot of Penguins in early August, you will already know that these are the things that float Sullivan's boat. And these are the things that in so many ways make life easier for your guys on the top six. You don't need Sid and Gino to be the ones that kick the gear up. You don't need Sid and Gino to be the ones who are drawing the penalties. Your bottom six guys, remember what Brandon Tanev used to do all the time. He drew more penalties than anybody in hockey. Who benefited from that? The power play. Power play was out there more often. The power play had more chemistry. The power play produced more. So, bringing the dead horse back out here one last time, this is why you don't go and get Nola Chari and Matt Nieto and whatever. It never made sense. Build a team that can do a lot of that running around for the main guys. Get players who make the Penguins hard to play against again, so that those players wear down the opponent, so that when Sid takes the ice, Sid's got, figuratively and literally, more space and more time in which to operate. I like all of this. I would have liked it a lot better in the summer of 2023, but I'll take it now. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody who listens to Daily Shot of Penguins and eternally waiting on the Blake Lizotte episode. We'll do another one of these tomorrow.